It's 2017 and that means it's a new year for new musicals!
We're a special kind of people known as show people. We live in a world of our own.
So I'm going to try something a little different this year. With every year that I discover musicals, there's always the ones that get knocked out, the ones that don't make it to the top 10. And I always feel bad not having the time to talk about them, except for that year where I just talked about everything I discovered and didn't really rank them. This year I'm going to try and make a little video just talking about what the ones that didn't make it were and just give them a brief description and my brief opinion on them. Even though I've just said I ranked the musicals this year, this list is going to be in alphabetical order, though you can probably tell from how long I speak about these musicals which ones I prefer over others. So let's begin. Aladdin. Music by Alan Menken and lyrics by Howard Ashman, Tim Rice and Chad Begulin. This is the new Broadway production that opened in 2014 and has just opened in the West End last year. Musically, it's pretty much Aladdin. Like, they haven't tried to change too much. The new songs that they've added aren't great. The only new song that stands out is Proud of Your Boy, which isn't really a new song because it was written for the original Disney film by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, and they've just sort of recovered this diamond in the rough, if you will, and put it into this new stage production. It is easily the best song and the best addition that they added. Though I do like the arrangements of some of the original Disney songs. I like what they did with A Whole New World. It was very simple and very stripped down, and I liked it. And Prince Ali, they tried to shake it up a bit with a bit more of a jazzier tone, but then they extended it to about 4 or 5 minutes, which is my problem with Disney musicals, is that they take the original songs from the movies and just extend them to about 7 minutes and make them overblown, and I hate it. Bells Are Ringing. Music by Jules Stein and lyrics by Betty Comden and Adolph Green. It's fine. It's one of those mid-century musicals that is kind of slice of life. Like, there's nothing big and fantastical in it. It's just about a girl in a call center, and she is playing different people to different people on the line. And yeah, there was nothing particularly memorable to it. There's a few nice sad love songs in there that I'll probably remember, but other than that, it's fine. The Boy from Oz. Music and lyrics by Peter Allen and various artists because it's a jukebox musical. This is a jukebox musical using the songs of Peter Allen, and I'm not actually familiar with a lot of his stuff. So these songs, pre-existing songs in the musical, kind of just felt like original songs written for this narrative. So I guess that my reaction to The Boy from Oz is kind of like someone's reaction for someone who doesn't know ABBA music very well, watching Mamma Mia. Like, I feel like I can make that connection, if you understand me. This very nearly made the top 10 simply because of how catchy the songs are. Because it's based on real people, Judy Garland is a big part of Peter Allen's life, and so you have the Judy Garland impression, which actually isn't the worst Judy Garland impression that I've had to listen to in musicals this year. And there's also Liza Minnelli in there too, and other ones. So you've got those impressions, and their songs actually aren't that great. It's in the second act where Peter Allen finds his boyfriend, and there's a lot of cute love songs and nice, snazzy, cheesy pop music. Yeah, a perfectly fine jukebox musical. I'm really worrying about how many jukebox musicals I'm learning to like over these years. Dames at Sea. Music by Jim Wise and lyrics by George Hameson and Robin Miller. Again, it's just a perfectly fine, forgettable musical. It's kind of like Anything Goes in that it's set on a ship, but less happens. There's some nice songs in there. It's an early role for Bernadette Peters, but other than that, can't remember much. Grey Gardens. Music by Scott Frankel and lyrics by Michael Corey. This was a weird one for me. I've listened to these soundtracks for this year a lot, like a few dozen times. And Grey Gardens, I could just never get attached to it because the story is just not that clear from the music, and there's very little about the story. I mean, it's based on the real lives of the Beale family, who were related to Jackie Bouvier. So there is that history. But in the musical itself, they don't really go through a lot of plot. It's more just, here's what's happening, here's a slice of life, here's some performances that Edith does, and there's not a lot of storytelling to it. And on top of that, the music isn't extremely accessible. There isn't a lot of catchy stuff in it. It's very strange, and it's weird. I mean, it was never going to make the top 10, but it intrigued me still, because it's very interesting music. I mean, it's not bland, it's not generic, it's not any other musical theatre score that you hear nowadays. It intrigues me. It's not particularly exciting for me, but it's interesting, and that's what I have to say about that. Little Me, music by Cy Coleman and lyrics by Carolyn Lee. Yet again, another mid-century musical that's very non-fantastical. There's not a lot to it. Though I will say the plot of this musical goes way out of hand, like, as the second act goes on. I mean, I read Wikipedia synopses where I can find them for these musicals, because obviously sometimes you miss some bits out on the soundtrack, and reading the plot synopsis from Wikipedia was an experience, to say the least. And the plot doesn't really show this out of hand plot does not exactly show in the music, because again, it's very forgettable, very old school. It's kind of disappointing, because the music was by Cy Coleman, and I'm starting to like his music. He's written some great stuff over the years. Little teaser for the top 10, one of his musicals is in the top 10, but I won't give that away. I'll just say that this one here was kind of disappointing. As I said, very forgettable, and there's not much I can remember yet again. Mack and Mabel, music and lyrics by Jerry Herman. This was very, very close to being in the top 10 too. This was a very early role for Bernadette Peters, and it's been really nice to hear her voice on these soundtracks this year. It's been very nice. And also Robert Preston, who was Mabel, Harold Hill in The Music Man that I discovered last year. It was nice to hear that. The music by Jerry Herman is standard Jerry Herman, but something about the story, it just kind of it stuck out to me. It does things that are very are not exactly typical of musical theatre narratives. They subvert that old school mid-century golden age narrative, which I kind of like about it. Musically, there are some very nice ballads, some very nice catchy songs, because it's Jerry Herman. But yeah, it was this close to making the top 10, but consider it a very close runner-up. Martin Short, Fame Becomes Me. Music and lyrics by Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman. I don't know why I discovered this musical. There's barely anything about it. It was basically just like a one-man show from Martin Short in like 2006 that he just did. It's not funny at all, at least the songs aren't. And I mean, they're really trying. The music's by, music and lyrics are by the Hairspray crew, and yeah, you can tell they're trying to do satire and parody, but oh god, some of it is just so over the top, and I really hate it. There's a few songs that are quite endearing and charming, but most of all, like, it's just the story of Martin Short, and I don't really care. I thought it would be funnier, but no, guess not. School of Rock, music by Andrew Lloyd Webber and lyrics by Glenn Slater. This one it's actually got some good music in it. Dear God, Andrew Lloyd Webber, what are you doing? I don't know if that's because some of the songs are from the original film, School of Rock, or whether Andrew Lloyd Webber is just, he's gone back to his rock roots and rock music sounds better for him. I don't know. But, god damn it, those lyrics are awful. Glenn Slater strikes again. I really don't like his lyrics. And they are what bring the songs down, absolutely. If it weren't for that, the School of Rock probably would have made it into the top 10, which is kind of awkward because, you know, Andrew Lloyd Webber's reputation and all. But, yeah, it's not. But it's here. I will point out, I just want to say this here. If you have to listen to one song from this musical, listen to Where Did the Rock Go? And if you don't know the cast and who's singing it, try and guess. Because when you find out, and if you're familiar with their voice, it will be a bit of a surprise. A pleasant surprise. Like a really, whoa, blown away surprise. But yeah, if you want a cool little tidbit, mind-blowing moment there, go and listen to Where Did the Rock Go from School of Rock. And that is all I have left to say about the School of Rock musical, okay? Seussical, the musical. Music by Stephen Flaherty and lyrics by Lynn Ahrens. This was another that was very close to making the top 10. There's so much to like in it, because it is essentially a kids show. It's very accessible. The music is very nice. The lyrics, of course, are okay. I mean, the ones that aren't taken from Dr. Seuss are kind of your usual Flaherty and Ahrens stuff. But yeah, there was just something about it that I don't particularly love about it. I think because some of it is trying really hard to be like cutesy and very much family friendly, it's kind of annoying. Sometimes the music gets really, really generic, really bland. There's a song called Notice Me Horton that is one of the most generic things I've heard in musical theatre this year. Yeah, very torn on this one. I would say it was a runner-up for the top 10, but like I said, there's just something holding me back from it. Sherry. Music by Lawrence Rosenthal and lyrics by James Lipton. I think this is the last musical on the list that's one of those mid-century musicals that's forgettable and I don't really care for it. But this one, I honestly cannot remember a thing from it. The only things that stood out for me is that the main character is played by Nathan Lane, God bless him, and he has an opening song called, like, Why Does the Whole Damn World Adore Me? And it's amazing because it's Nathan Lane basically singing about how adorable he is. But that's it. I literally could not tell you anything else about this musical. I do not remember any of it. As I said, listened to the soundtrack dozens of times. Could not sing you anything from it. That is how forgettable it is for me. And I think it might also be because there's not a lot about this musical. It was one of those musicals that got lost after it closed on stage, and then it was suddenly brought back and found by whoever, and yeah, but even then it hasn't had a long shelf life. Let's just say that. Sister Act, music by Alan Menken and lyrics by Glenn Slater. Oh, I'm so torn on this one. This was close to making the top 10 as well. On the one hand, you've got Alan Menken going a little bit out of his usual musical theatre Disney place. He's kind of writing more like pop disco stuff, a little bit of gospel, and yeah, just very old school 20th century pop Motown style, and I like it. I really do like it. But the thing that holds me back from putting this on the top 10 is Glenn Slater. He strikes again. Those lyrics are awful. I hate it. And yeah, sometimes it just goes into cringe mode. And oh, it's just, I could not put this on my top 10. Like, so torn as well, because some of the music is really, really good. Patina Miller is a wonderful lead, and I love her voice. But I really don't want to hear her voice singing those lyrics. They're so bad. Ugh. Young Frankenstein, music and lyrics by Mel Brooks. I had high hopes for this because it's by Mel Brooks, and of course the producers is amazing and it's really funny. But you can really, really tell that they're trying to remake the producers again with Young Frankenstein, and it does not work at all. It just does. No. I mean, some of the lyrics are really, really good. Mel Brooks is a way better lyricist than he is a composer. The songs, you can really tell that he's just out of ideas and is just reusing same tempo changes, the same melodic cadences, the same thing. It's really frustrating because some of the lyrics are actually not bad. They're actually quite clever sometimes. And yeah, and you've got some great performances as well. Sutton Foster's in this. Megan Mullally is wonderful. She has some good songs. But yeah, I just couldn't put it in the top 10. It's because the music's quite forgettable. It's not as funny as it wants to be. I'd rather just go watch the original film again. You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Music and lyrics by Clark Gesner. And finally, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which is it's perfectly fine. I mean, I do like it, but it's not really. It didn't really stand out to me. Being a child in the UK, I didn't have a strong attachment to Charlie Brown. Never have done. I've only really found out about like the Peanuts stuff like in my teens, and that's because I've been getting into pop culture. So I don't actually know a lot. The thing that really confused me with this musical, particularly Charlie Brown musical, is that Snoopy sings and speaks. But it's really, really charming. It might actually be my favourite part of the musical. And there's probably a load of Charles Schultz fans who are like, sacrilege! For having Snoopy speak and sing. But I kind of find it really charming. His songs are really good. Yeah, as I said, it's very cute, very harmless, very sweet. And yeah, it's perfectly fine. Again, you've probably realised that a lot of the musicals that didn't make it in the top 10 didn't make it because they're perfectly fine, but I'm not strongly attached to them. So, sorry, not sorry. And that's it for this video. I tried to be quick. Obviously, I talked a bit about others a little more. But yeah, I'm glad that you watched this video. Thank you for watching. If you were really interested in seeing what musicals I discovered that didn't make it this year. The top 10 musicals video will be out as usual in September, where you can find out the top 10 musicals that I absolutely love, that will stay with me, that I do have a strong attachment to, and you can hear me talk for about half an hour, 40 minutes about them. So thanks for watching again, and see you guys soon. Bye!